Hello, pre-calculus students. This is Miss Becky here. I'm getting ready to show you guys how to do the IXL notes for Algebra 2, Y2. I know you guys are in pre-calculus, but this is it works best here for the Algebra 2, Y2 to do it in that section. So it's just sort of a review of the special triangles. So the first special triangle we have here is called a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. And it's special because it has certain ratios between the sides. So for this one, each of the legs will end up being the same measure. And so it's represented here as an X. The hypotenuse, which again is right across the street from the 90 degree angle, is whatever the sides lengths are times the square root of 2. So if this side length was a 5, if we knew that was 5, then we would also know that this is a 5 units long, and this side would be 5 times the square root of 2. So that's an example of that one. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so the next special triangle that we have is called the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And it's a little bit trickier to remember. So the everything that I like to think of is based off of this short leg. So the short leg is found right next to the larger angle. So you've got the 30 and the 60. So the short leg is between the 60 and the 90 degree angle. The longer leg is always going to be whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. And then the hypotenuse is just going to be doubled whatever the short leg is. So again, if the short leg is 2 units long, then the long leg we know is going to be 2 times the square root of 3. And the hypotenuse is going to be 2 times whatever the short leg is. So it's 2 times 2, which is 4. All right, so those are the ratios for these types of special triangles. I guess I could do this easier, but okay. So IXL is then going to bring up problems that look like this, and they want you to find the missing sides. Okay, so this is a, the first one is 45 degree angle. So we know it's off of this pattern right here. So we know that this leg is going to be 6, and we know that the hypotenuse is going to be 6 times the square root of 2. All right, moving on to this next one. We see the 60 degree angle, so it's going to be patterned after this one. So what we know is, all right, we have the hypotenuse here. Things are, this triangle, the sides are based off of the short leg. So we know, for me, it's easier to go after, excuse me, finding the short leg first. So we know if the hypotenuse is doubled the short leg, that to find the short leg, we can divide the hypotenuse by 2. So it's simply 10 divided by 2 is going to give us the short leg is 5. Now, based off of this one, we can go on to the long leg. The long leg is going to be whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. So this one is 5 times the square root of 3. Now the next one, we are on to a 45 degree angle. We have the hypotenuse here, so we don't know the sides. The hypotenuse is whatever the legs are times the square root of 2. So we will take this hypotenuse, which is 3 times the square root of 2, and we'll divide it by the square root of 2. These guys cancel out. So we know that the legs have to have a length of 3. Okay, so if you're thinking of it, if that gets confusing, if you're thinking of this side had to be multiplied by the square root of 2, then to undo that multiplication, you divide by the square root of 2. Got it? Okay, so you guys, why don't you pause the video like it says there? Pause the video and see if you can figure out these next 3 problems, and then I will show you how to do them in a second. All right, hopefully you got these answers. This triangle is, we noticed by the clue here that it's a 60-degree triangle angle right there. Then we know that this one has to be 30 degrees. So it's patterned after this one. The measurement that we have is the short leg because it's between the 60 degree and the 90 degrees. That lets me know that the long leg is going to be the short leg times the square root of 3, and the hypotenuse is going to be doubled the short leg, which is 12. Moving on to this one, our clue on this one is it's 45-degree angles there. So we know that this one is also 45 degrees. Now, the angle that we were given was the hypotenuse again. The hypotenuse is the 2 times the square root of 2. So the short leg is the one that, well, sorry, Mayamala, my bad. We know that the legs were multiplied by the square root of 2 to get that hypotenuse. So you divide by the square root of 2. And when you have, again, you've got the same number on the top and the bottom of a fraction or division problem, then they cancel each other out. So each side is, the legs are a length of 2. And we know that the 45, 45, both legs are the same. Moving on to this one, we have a 30-degree angle, which lets us know that it's this triangle right here. What leg do we have? It is not the short leg. It's the long leg because it's next to the smaller angle. Now, the long leg is going to be, it was multiplied by the square root of 3 off of the short leg. So we can then just divide by the square root of 3 to undo that. These cancel out. So the short leg is 4 units long. And the hypotenuse is going to be doubled 2 times the short leg, right? Which is 8 units long. Got that. Again, hang on. I'd like you to pause the video and try these next 3. So you're looking for the clues on them. What clues do you have? I'm looking at the angles. And there are clues here that hopefully you will pick up on. And we'll get right back to that. Alrighty, I'm going to walk you through these. This is the 45 degree triangle. We have information on the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 6. So we know that the hypotenuse is also multiplied by the square root of 2. So to get the sides, we need to divide that by the square root of 2. Now there is a problem there. When you cannot have this a radical in the denominator, so we will multiply by the square root of 2 to rationalize it. And when you multiply the square root by itself, then it turns into that number pretty much. So we have 6 times the square root of 2 over 2. Now remember that numbers go with numbers and radicals go with radicals. So we will treat this 6 over 2 as the fraction that it is, and it simplifies to 3, and we still have the square root of 2 for that one right there. So this is the answer for number 7. Moving along here to number 8. The clue was the 30-degree angle right there. We're given information about the long leg, which is 9 units long. That lets me that the short leg over here is got to be the long leg divided by the square root of 3. Now we have the same deal going on there. We have to multiply this by the square root of 3 and do that up there also because that rationalizes the denominator. Now what we have left is, sorry, this is kind of squishy. In the numerator, we've got 9 times the square root of 3. Denominator turns into a 3. These numbers that we have there, the whole numbers, reduce to 3 times the square root of 3. So that's the side of the short leg there. So let me make some room. Make some room. Good enough. And let's pick a different color. This one. So the hypotenuse should be whatever the short leg is times 2. Well, it's going to be 2 times. We said that it was, what did we say? 3 times the square root of 3? Is that correct? Yes. Which equals 6 times the square root of 3. Oops. Of 3. And again, if I've made an error, if you catch it, you will get some extra credit. But I'm not trying to do that. On this one, the clues are that these angles are the same. If the angles are the same, then the sides have to be the same. So that tells us we are dealing with this triangle right there. So what we're given is the length of the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always multiplied by the square root of 2. The sides are, the legs are multiplied by the square root of 2. So to go back and find what the legs are, we're going to divide by the square root of 2. And the same deal is going on here. We have to rationalize the denominator. So we will multiply by the square root of 2. And that's going to give us 4 times the square root of 2 over 2. That's a 2. And change the color. That's going to reduce to 2 times the square root of 2. Man, that's a bad 2. Okay. Try it again. 2. Right. So that's what both of those sides should be. And hopefully that'll help you out with doing the section on IXL Y.2. And wait a minute, I'm trying to get back to my outro music. Okay, and I will see you next time. And remember that math is a video game. Yes, I said that.